Hey everybody, Dustin DePirac here, calling this Jeremy Price. Still a little bit loud here in Assembly Hall, still got people clearing out. We're getting to this one a little bit quicker. Jay Price got to run back to the office, get some things taken care of. Anyway, it was HoosierHysteria tonight. They managed to pack this joint pretty much. I think we saw, 14,000 people somewhere in that?
Yeah, I'd say 14-ish. Mm-hmm. Not quite last year exactly where it was packed to the rafters, but...
Yeah. In a lot of ways, I felt like this event as a whole was still kind of a celebration of last year, like kind of one more of those. They like celebrating last year, and there's a reason for that. A lot was accomplished. A lot was accomplished for those last two seasons. They raised a banner, a complete one by itself, Big Ten champions. It's currently hanging over the basket. I'm very interested if that's where it's going to stay.
I don't think so, but...
I would think it's not a good idea, honestly. It's very, very prominently set up and probably a little too prominent.
Plus, it could be in the way of future fireworks if it were to stay there.
Yeah, as we've made a point of saying before, as I tend to make a point on Twitter of saying, Fred Glass really likes fireworks. Really big fan of fireworks. Today there were, the best way I could describe them were boxes of flames just during player intros, just stuff shooting out. And it warmed up the whole building. I was probably 50, 60 feet away from them, and I still kind of felt my eyebrows a little bit starting to tinge a little bit. You know, I probably wear a little bit too much product in my hair for that, honestly. I could have gone up at, in any way, shape.
Very dangerous.
It is. It's an issue. It's hanging up real big. I'm not sure if I should I turn this thing and show them, I guess?
Sure, why not?
This is a good way of doing this, I would say.
That's the Big Ten banner.
Yep. So hopefully that worked. Hopefully you saw what that was. Hopefully that made some degree of sense.
Maybe it's a good shot of ceiling tile.
Maybe it didn't. So, but yeah, it's got a more prominent display, I would say, or more prominent place than national title banners do. But anyway, we spent 2 minutes talking about banners. We should start talking about other stuff. Devin Davis was your slam dunk contest winner. He managed to come back. I wouldn't say come back. He got to the finals. Hannah Pereira looked like he was going to run away with it. And Devin just kind of threw this kind of alley-oop to himself, one bounce, kind of windmilled it, and it was pretty impressive. And Hunter, I think, missed a couple on his final, so he didn't get it. Yogi Ferrell was your three-point competition. He had 18 in his first round, then beat Kayla Hulls for the men's versus women's championship there. Taylor Ware and
Lindsay
Lycum win the two-ball competition. So there's that. Go ahead. And the scrimmage was interesting. I think Red beat White 40-28. I see the scores there. So let's talk players real quick. Who impressed you today? Who stood out that you looked at and said, okay, either that's better than I remember, or that guy looks like he can play?
I guess I was thinking about what impressed me the most, and it's hard to say. I mean, it was kind of one of those, everybody had flashes of brilliance followed by not so much. Mm-hmm. But I thought Evan Gordon was really solid in the scrimmage. He's kind of that guy that's going to sneak up on you, it seems like, where it seems like he hasn't done much, and maybe at the end of the night he's got 10, 12 points, 5 assists, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I liked what I saw there. Hannah Pereira and Peter Jerkin both, maybe not so much where you say, oh, man, these guys are really good, but you say, well, these guys could give them something.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I thought, I think there's a tendency, I think, when guys, when you see them struggle so much when it comes to basic things like coordination, like literally just catching a basketball, then all of a sudden, like if you see them come out there 6 months later and they don't trip on their own shoelaces, you're like, wow, there it is.
Yeah.
Figured out. And so you're willing to kind of give more credit necessarily than it's due because your sort of bar that you set for them is so low. But they did look really comfortable. Hunter threw down an alley-oop and just looked like he owned the joint. I mean, he came in, was the most impressive dunk contest performer all around, but just looked like himself. Tom Crean said afterwards, that's the best we've seen him look. He's had a good week. We're seeing some progress there. Still doesn't seem like he's where he wants to be, but seeing something. And it's just, in some ways, it's so far to go, but when he unlocks it, there's so much capability there. I mean, just the leaping ability and the length is scary. It's different level stuff, but just the coordination hasn't been there at all. So it's just like when you're just trying to pair those things together and kind of things that are, one thing is so high and another thing is so low, and trying to bring them together so they at least, combine and make something that makes sense.
Yeah, the biggest thing, especially with him that I want to see is improved footwork. And Crean talked about that a little bit, that he felt like that was much improved over where it is. where it was, but I'm not sure that it's where it should be, and it was hard to really get a gauge on that tonight.
Yeah.
Because basically it was he going up against Jerkin for the most part, which I don't think that's real helpful in telling anything one way or the other.
No, it's not.
With Vonleh not playing in the scrimmage, with Luke Fisher out in the scrimmage, I mean, those are more legitimate post players that I think would challenge that footwork and test him a little bit more. So that's still something to look at going forward.
Yeah, real quick on that, because we forgot to mention injuries early. Vonleh apparently had an ankle thing this week. I think it was Wednesday, I want to say, was what Tom Crean said it was. So obviously he was in a three-point contest. Might have been in the dunk contest if he wasn't injured, but they were just a little bit antsy about that. It's not a big deal. It doesn't sound like it. Sounds like he might miss the weekend, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be a bigger issue beyond that.
Very precautionary.
Yeah, very precautionary, because you don't want to lose Noah Vonleh, who's a top 10 recruit at HoosierHysteria. That wouldn't be good.
Didn't stop him from dancing, though.
No, he brought it with that. It seemed like there was a combination. It looked a little bit like that sort of dice roll thing, but not really. I say Stan Robinson is the champion of the dancers in this one. They did have real quick. They did have a dance thing at the beginning. It's not the same without Vic. Not the same without Vic. It's just there's no bringing that back, man. There's just no bringing that back. They were solid in terms of sort of backing dancer wise, but you need somebody to really carry it, and that was Vic's thing.
Yeah, they didn't have a lead. And that's about as in-depth analysis as I'm going to provide on that front. I'm not much use there.
At the end of the day, as unbiased as we are and objective as we are, we all miss Vic, don't we? We do. But getting back to sort of basketball stuff, guy that stood out to me, I think just because Tom Crean had been sort of downplaying him in various conversations between the speech on Wednesday night and also when I got to meet with him to talk for Blue Ribbon. And the assistant coaches they all kind of said that Stan Robinson was not playing with both of his hands. Stan looked fine to me. And he was running point guard against Yogi Ferrell. Was solid, made some real nice moves. I think the word, when Tom Crean used the word unorthodox Wednesday night when he was talking about his speech, you got to see and get a better idea of what that meant in a good way. Tonight, I thought he made some nice moves, like kind of Eurostep looking stuff that I thought he was able to get by him.
Yeah, I think the thing with Stan Robinson is it's not so much that maybe they're downplaying him in terms of what his ability is, but it's what his potential level is.
Right.
And he's got a very high ceiling for what he can be both offensively and defensively for this team, whether it's this year or the next year or whatever the case may be. So I think I really think that's more a case of setting the bar high, giving him something to shoot for and not being satisfied with, I can do this. Well, that's nice, but you can do more kind of situation with Stan, and yeah, he looked good tonight for the most part. But for all those good moves, he also got his pocket picked by Johnny Marlin a couple times. And it seemed there was one play in particular where I think Evan Gordon was talking to him after the play, wanted him to back cut on a certain play, and sometimes it seemed like if Robinson needed to really kind of stop and think about, should I go here, should I be there? So there he wasn't quite as comfortable. It wasn't all clicked in there yet.
Right.
And when he gets to play, particularly in transition with the ball in his hands, he's very comfortable there. That's something he's used to doing. It's just kind of automatic for him. And so it's getting the other parts of the game to become automatic that really is a challenge for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say that. I think Yogi Ferrell looked good. I thought, he again won the 3-point shooting contest. I think you saw progress with that. I don't know, like I said, is Yogi Ferrell ever going to be Jordan Hulls as a shooter? I don't think so. But you don't need that. If he's right around 40 as a 3-point shooter.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely good enough. He hit a pull-up three there at the start of the scrimmage. And that's the shot when teams are taking a step back and challenging him to hit that shot. If he can knock that down once in a while, that's just going to open up the rest of the floor for him and for the rest of the team.
Right. As Tom Crean made a point of saying, we want him to be the best guy in the country at pick and roll, using a screen and roll and coming off of it and just scoring and going line off of it. Saw some, decent talent from him. I thought, he's obviously still got that speed, and that's going to make a huge difference if that shot is anywhere near reliable. He struggled shooting the ball during the game, but shot it pretty well in the 3-point contest. Looks just more comfortable with that. Looks like he's going to be willing to take that, and was just Will in general.
Well, look whose team won the scrimmage.
Because that's what he does.
Yes.
Period. He seemed like he was struggling a little bit, and then he kind of got mad and started making shots and started driving on people and making things happen. And that's what happens when Will gets mad. He makes stuff happen. Trying to think. Jeremy Hollowell, I thought looked pretty good too. Looked more comfortable. Hit a couple threes, and I think what's going to make a difference for Hollowell, obviously his shooting volume is going to go up. And I think that makes a huge difference for him because it gets him more locked in. I don't know that he ever felt like his feet were really on the ground last year when he was in games. Hollowell's used to having the ball in his hand, and it's not necessarily that he has to be the guy, just got to be there just enough for him to feel like, I got this. Like, this is what I'm used to.
Yeah, I think the real challenge for him is decision making. What does he do on a possession? Does he shoot that 3-point shot? Does he drive to the basket? What pass does he make? He had a couple turnovers early in the scrimmage. Those kind of things. I think that's really the process for him is making good decisions and taking good shots. He can do a lot of different things, but not to force things, to take things that come naturally, that fit in the flow of the offense and fit with the rest of his teammates. And that's the real question coming out of this. For all that we saw tonight, we really didn't see how this team fits together and how they work together in any way, shape, or form.
No, and Vonleh not being in really changes everything, because that guy's going to be vital and critical and central to everything they do. Real quick, because we got to roll, I want to do one more thing. Who's your starting five as of right now if you had to pick them today?
I would probably go with Yogi and Evan Gordon in the backcourt. Probably go Will at the 3 with maybe Hollowell 4 and Vonleh 5.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. I wasn't sure. I don't think Vonleh was originally thought of as a center, but I think now the way this team is going to play, I think that's the way to go. Yeah, he's got the size for it. That's not necessarily his build. He'll step out. He's not going to be a guy who just posts up, but I think that's where you need to be just to get your best 5 on the floor. All right, thanks, everybody. We'll have, obviously, so much more. It's basketball season. It's October 5th. It's October 4th. It's 80 degrees outside. Pirates are still playing baseball. Boo. Smack that in there. Anyway, thanks, everybody. Football tomorrow.